Hi, Daryl Sangster here from the Sangster Franchise Group. And I wanted to talk really quickly about, why do I do what I do? And I can tell you that the biggest motivating factor behind what I do in helping franchisors expand is because of the human fulfillment that comes from teaching and coaching and giving some advice and direction. So it runs along the same lines as if you're a coach of a sports team, if you've ever coached your sons or your daughters, and the fulfillment that you get when you're teaching them. And in my case, I've taught my kids about hockey, and I've coached them as they were young. And when you teach somebody something and they actually apply it and it works, there's a human fulfillment that comes from that. And I can tell you that in my professional world today, when I work with franchisors and help them improve their systems and build and create a system for franchise development and franchise expansion, there's a huge human connection of fulfillment that I receive out of that. Of course, there's monetary value behind that work, because we all do have to earn and provide food and shelter, etc., for ourselves. But in saying that, the fulfillment of helping other franchisors is a major motivating factor behind what I do at the Sangster Franchise Group. So what do I do when I actually work with a client? Well, in most cases, most franchise systems don't have a functioning franchise development system or a procedure or a process, whatever you want to refer to that as. Most systems don't have that. I'll give you a clear example of what a typical one is. They either pay for some leads or they use social media with organic leads, and they generate these leads. A phone call comes in, an email comes in, a text comes in, a website form is filled out, etc. And maybe it's a CEO that picks up the phone and places a quick call. Maybe they respond in an email, whatever the case is. But really, from there through to signing the FA, the franchise agreement, there's not a lot of actual structure set up in most franchise systems. And that's where I come in. So setting up that structure and turning that process into a journey, in most cases, an investor, a potential franchisee, what you're trying to attract and have join your system, they're not going to join your system in a few phone calls and a few emails and a couple filled out forms. They need to process this information. They need to learn about your system. They don't want to be sold to. They don't want to know every time Daryl Sangster's on the other end of the call, it's going to be some salesy person trying to collect a franchise fee from them and get them to sign. What they want is a journey and it has to be filled with knowledge and information and excitement. You have to maintain that excitement. If the journey is 3 to 5 months to take a lead from interest through to disclosure and eventually to signing, if that's the timeline, 3 to 6 months, well, you have to maintain their interest and their enthusiasm and their excitement, and they have to be bought into the dream, and they have to be able to fully understand what it is they're joining, what the numbers are, the complete breakdown of your business model from a financial perspective, not just saying, oh, you're going to make some money if you join. Because an investor needs that information, and that information, I help franchisors deliver that through the development and implementation of my 5-stage franchise awarding system. So that's basically what I do. When I work with a client, it's typically a short-term working relationship. It's extremely deliverable based. So when we agree to work together, I provide the work to deliver that 5-stage franchise awarding system, which is typically about a 3-month process. Could be 4, could be 2.5, somewhere in there. But in order for me to customize that formula, I have to actually work in your system with your team, with yourself as the CEO, etc. So that's what most of my clients do. Of course, I have another product, which is the sales one, which is almost a follow-up to the franchise awarding system. So in most cases, if a franchise system has a good functioning franchise awarding process in place, like my 5-stage franchise awarding process, then what I do with clients after the fact is I offer them my services to take on their franchise as a sales product. So in the corporation of and the development of the 5-stage awarding system, because it's customizable, what we do is we develop the system which incorporates all of the key knowledge players in the current system. So of course, there's always somebody that is extremely knowledgeable in the system about operations and franchise structure and brand and history, etc. There's also somebody that's always extremely knowledgeable in the numbers and the business model and the margins and to be able to talk to all those aspects. So what I do in the incorporation of the 5-stage system is I incorporate and pull these pieces of the puzzle together to build a full functioning system, so that you don't have somebody like myself trying to sell your franchise when I don't know the ins and the outs of the system, which it's going to take you a lot of years for you to work with an employee that will know that system. So to give you an example, if you follow any of my LinkedIn, etc., you'll know that Skedaddle Humane Wildlife Control is a client of mine. And in their case, I work with them on both the franchise awarding system, which we set up and then delivered and implemented. And then we moved my relationship into a sales role with them. So I don't know all there is to know about Skedaddle, but I do know what an investor is looking for in a franchise environment, and to be able to speak to them and to deliver upon their needs, which is an investor requires the information delivered. So my role with Skedaddle is I deliver that information. Sometimes I incorporate Bill Dowd, the founder and CEO. Sometimes I incorporate Barry Dowd, the Chief Financial Officer of Skedaddle, for the number side. So there's a lot of moving pieces that we incorporate when we build this, but the ultimate objective is to provide the information to the investor. And once the investor has the information delivered in a credible, in a environment that's non-salesy and not pushy, but very structured with a communicated timeline. So we're not going to waste our time on somebody who's not even financially qualified or is not maybe motivated to even join and just poking around. These are all parts of the process that are eliminated earlier on. So the point is, if you're looking for franchise expansion, I have a product that works and that I know can be implemented and improve your system. And a simple phone call or an email, or you can contact me on sangsterfranchisegroup.com, of course, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. And if you're in the space of franchise development, franchise expansion, I highly recommend give me a shout. It'll be worth your 15-minute chat with me. Cheers.